Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we will cover Nebosh IGC2 risk assessment part 1. In this part 1 we are going to see the description of the organization. This part sets the context for the entire risk assessment and is essential for achieving high mark. In this part, your task is to clearly describe the organization and its activities. The examiner wants to understand what the organization does, where the organization works, who is involved, and what type of environment it exists, what sector of the organization it is. In this video, you will find before you unit IGC2, the risk assessment document from Nebosh, that which I will be going through a step-by-step method on how to answer these questions. A lot of students have issues in part 1 of Nebosh risk assessment to outline the organization description. Here with me, this template. In this template, you should aim to complete this section in 150 to 200 words. I will be going through a walkthrough step by step. The first thing you need to know as far as this part 1 background is concerned, pick a name of your organization. The name of the organization may be real. So you pick a name of the organization that will suit your description. In this case, as we're going to take a step-by-step description of part 1 background in Nebosh risk assessment IGC2, I'm going to use a name. The name of my organization here should be Safety Hub as the name of my organization. And now, the second thing I will put here is site of the location. I'm going to choose a city and the country at which my organization is. For example, I will choose Abu Dhabi. This is where my organization is based. And I will choose the name of the country, United Arab Emirates. That is the name of or the site at which my organization is located. The next thing I should mention is the number of workers in my organization. Please, dear Nebosh candidate, take note when it comes to number of workers in an organization. In this exam, you should outline a number of workers that must tie to the activities and the services the company undertake. Otherwise, the number of workers you may provide may not tie to the type of activity or the sector at which the company is operating. So, in this case, I prefer or I suggest 600 workers. Now, general description of the organization. Please pay attention here. This is where the problem lies. This is where a lot of mistakes are coming from. Now, the first thing you need to know in this point is to make sure that to let your examiner know, is the organization a small organization, Is it a medium organization? Is it a large organization? So you choose to mention small organization or medium or large. You choose. The next thing you need to mention in this description is outline the services of the organization, what they are doing, what the company is doing, what the organization is doing. In this case, I will choose my company is working on construction. You may add, it may be two activities, construction and building infrastructure or whatever, but at least mention the services they do. The next thing you need to mention in this description is the sector, the organization sector. Which sector are they involved? Is it in the manufacturing, or is it in the construction, or is it in the chemical sector? This you need to mention. Your company is involved in the sector. You need to indicate. The next thing you need to mention in your description, you can talk about the categories of workers. The categories of workers. What we are talking about, the category here, we are talking about the skilled and the unskilled workers. You mention it. The skilled or unskilled workers. The next things, or you can, or laborers or office staffs. It can be skills, laborer, office staff, or laborers. The next thing you need to mention again in your company description is to talk about if the organization is dealing with contractors or not. Meaning that you need to mention if the company is dealing with contractors or subcontractors. The next thing you need to mention in your description is the organization work days. The organization work days. Work days. You need to mention work days. Are they working from Mondays to Saturday? You need to say. The next thing you need to mention here is the organization work timing. Work timing. Work timing here, you will choose a specific work timing for your organization. It can be you have to choose. It can be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. whatever timing you put here. But please take note, the timing you put here must match certain criteria, like they are exceeding more than 8 hours of work. You need to mention them. The next thing you need to mention here is break rest timing. You need to mention in your description. The next thing you need to mention here is the organization off days. You need to mention their off days, or otherwise you need to mention off days with holidays if they are observing holidays in their locality. The next thing you need to mention here is the facilities provided by the organization. Here we'll choose one of the facilities. We can talk about the transportations, the transportation, and we can talk about the accommodation of employees. The next thing we can mention here in the description, we can talk about if the organization has a security guard, or it has a safety officer or a safety manager, You need to mention it. You need to mention this. So, in this case, when all these criteria are put in place, this will give you a better description of your organization. The next step is describe the area to be included in your risk assessment. Please bear with me that what you will put here depends on the activities of the company, depend on the sector of the organization. In this case, if you are dealing with construction, you can talk about the construction site. You can talk about either the warehouse of the construction, or you can talk about the storage room. You can talk about the car parking area. You can here. You can talk about the car parking area to be included in your description. You can talk about excavation area to be included in case you are doing excavation in your risk assessment. There are a lot of things. You can talk even of a high voltage station plant in your risk assessment, depending on what you want to assess. Depending on what you want to assess. You need to include it. Here you have to mention at least 4 to 5. At least 4 to 5. Mention at least 4 to 5 places, area to be covered in your risk assessment. 4 to 5 places you need to cover in your risk assessment. At least 4 to 5. That will give you a better movement in the description. The next thing you need to do here, is any other relevant information. When we talk about the relevant information, we're talking about something that is important that need to be added in this description to make the description a better one. Now, you can talk about the health and safety officer has the obligation, or has the rule, has the power to manage the regulations, the rules of health and safety in workplaces. Who is reporting, or who is in charge is supplying or reporting to the HSE manager or the project manager. This is a relevant information you can apply. And in this case, you can also mention this company has 2 health and safety officers and 1 security guard. The health and safety security officer is mandatory to maintain, according to rules and regulations, the health and safety at workplaces, and who is reporting to the manager, the project supervisor, in case of health and safety. This is how you will reply. This is how you will answer this question. Thank you for watching, and please, if this video finds you well, click on subscribe and click on the notification button for new contents about health and safety. Goodbye. See you in the next video. Thank you so much.